Have a quorum, so welcome everyone.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item on the agenda is public input. Cassie, do we have anyone signed up to speak? Okay. With that, we will move on to the consent agenda. So let's see. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes from our May meeting? Any changes?
Yeah, I did see
Okay.
it.
All right. Jennifer?
Okay, page 6 starts your activity fund financials. So the first page is just the recap, and you can see we still have $46,000 in outstanding encumbrances. So Cassie's working hard to get all those closed out before the end of the month. And then page 7 through 12 is just the summary of each account. And the balances at the end match the summary sheet. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So on page 13 is the general fund revenue. So remember, in the balance column, if it's a 0, it just means that we've met our appropriated amount on our estimate of needs from the beginning of the year. So most of them are zeros are getting close. Starting under district, taxes are up $31,000 from last year. Interest is down $13,000. And the next 3, reimbursement, other local, general fund refund, total are down $6,700. But remember, we didn't do foundation grants, so if we had that in there, we would really be up from where we were last year. Child nutrition is the local, so that is down $104,000. So total district revenues are down $93,000 overall. The intermediate looks better. County formula is up almost $13,000. Mortgage tax is up $25,000. So total we are up $38,000 in intermediate funds. Under state, gross production is down $1,900. Motor vehicle is up $192,000. But again, remember that's the lawsuit, so that will even out next year. School land is up $13,000. Foundation and incentive is down $434,000, which is our state aid, and then the FBA is down $16,000. So total state revenue is down $262,000 overall. Then on page 14, you see your federal, the 4,200 has not changed. The MECHA, $92,000, that is up $16,000 from last month, so that's just one month's claim that we received. And then child nutrition is up $47,000 from last month, and that's one month's claim. So total federal collections are up $218,000. So the grand total revenue is down $99,141 from where we were last year. Questions about any of that? Okay. Page 15 are the encumbrances for board approval, and we only have one page because we're trying to close out the year. So I'll go through a couple of the higher amounts, and then if you have questions. The top, United Systems, is the server that you approved the contract for at the last board meeting. PO 687 is Dean Codner. He is refreshing some of the painting out of the athletic complex, so that's $4,200. The 689 ProBox portable storage, again, you guys approved that last month for out of the athletic facility. PO 692 to the carpet stores to replace the kitchen flooring with a new non-slip flooring surface, so it's $19,000. 693 is elementary curriculum for $37,571, and then 696, $3,020 to Amazon for Children's Center, and that is title funds for this year.
Jennifer, on 687, what type of painting? I know that we have a lot of people doing painting out there and such, so can you expand on that a little bit?
I know the softball.
I'll take it. So the softball, you know how we refreshed and did a remodel on the baseball press box and concession stand. So that same thing on the softball side. It was just
So the pictures you sent us today, that's the...
all those pictures, plus he's doing the writing on the front and the back of the press box on the football, on the middle school football field.
Okay.
And then if you come in from the west side and you look back to the east, you'll see on the big facility, it says Broncos, and that was all restated. So I can't tell you that we've got everything painted, but everything but the big part across the front that says whatever it says, you know, on the big building itself. That's a little faded. I'm going to wait on that for a few years, but that's $3,500 in and of itself. And all this other we've done in 2 years, and it looks great out there.
And there's no doubt it looks great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Moving on to page 16 is your collection summary for general fund. You can see the total encumbered and spent. And so for this year, we are at 86.5% of our appropriated amount. Last year, we were at 88.8%, so we're down 1.43% from where we were last year. Page 17 is the building fund. The only thing that changed on that from last month is we had that encumbered amount to Troy Roads. We are now paying him all out of the bond money, so we just closed that PO and that went into the balance. Page 18 is the bond fund. There's no activity since last month. And page 19, the sinking fund, there's been no activity since last month. Page 20 is activity fund fundraiser for softball, a junior Bronco softball camp. And then 21 is middle school taking in donations for different expenses. Page 22 is our temporary appropriations. And so this is what gets us started to be able to spend money in July. It's pretty close to what it was last year. And so the auditor will come the week of July 12th and go over all of our end of year financials, make sure we're in balance and everything, and then they'll gather all the information they need for our actual estimate of needs. So the building fund for sure will be changing with the new law that they passed. So but that'll all happen after they come in July. Questions? Okay. Thank you.
Bless you. Move approval item 4K3.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marquez? Yes. Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstad?
Yes.
All right, moving on to staff reports. It looks like we ended the year with a lot of great activities, so thank you all for that. Does anyone have any questions on the staff reports? Yeah, good stuff. All right, moving on to item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve district-wide stipend for all employees. And with this, I believe we had tabled this from our previous meeting. Drew, did you have a recommendation for us?
We have budgeted, and it's my recommendation that we do $1,000 stipend for each employee that was employed last year. We would not do that. If you're half-time, you get half that much, so we prorate the number on that. That's my recommendation.
Thank you. Do you have any discussion on that?
No, I think it's, I think certainly providing the staff with some type of stipend is important. It was a tough year. It's tough for the teachers. It's tough for our families. The thing I would, would like to see us do as well is something for our families. Drew, you and I kind of had a discussion about that. And I'd just like to see us, whether it's purchase supplies next year, it was tough on everybody. Maybe they, people missed out on, they got to pay babysitters and things like that. So, I would like to see us possibly, where we were asking for families to purchase supplies next year, maybe we foot the bill for that, for those families to say, hey, we value you as well. So that's something to consider in the event someone might want to, or you would want me to amend. I'd be happy to do that.
That's a good thought. I do feel that this stipend is more than well-deserved. I wish that we could provide a lot more for the teachers. So.
You do like the idea of trying to do something for patrons.
Yeah, that's a good.
I know that's, we don't necessarily have a number that we can deal with right now, but we've got a couple meetings, I think.
Yeah.
We can get that in place before school started, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
And that could possibly be COVID funds.
Right.
I know that I saw where I don't have an elementary school student, but I have a middle school going into high school, where there was an opportunity for people to purchase their supplies. Do you guys have, I didn't look, I see the sign, it's still out there. I always wonder, is it going to get run over with the construction? What on average, what does a family, $55, $60, is it something like that?
For elementary, it ranges pretty greatly. Like pre-K this year is $35, but it does go all the way up to now that's through the
we're
fundraiser.
asking.
Yeah, that's through the fundraiser, and it's not even really a fundraiser, it's just convenience, really.
Sure.
So some of those, and we don't get the cheap stuff, because a lot of times on those supply packs, they'll want to offer the cheap stuff so they can make it a fundraiser. We just basically take cost and make the next $5. So like our kindergarten pack is like $95, and that's trying to narrow out some stuff. So there are some, but most of them are anywhere between 60 and 85 around there. And we did just, we requested to purchase some extra supplies for each grade level. So we're already looking at ways to provide for families, particularly right now looking at needs. Like if they come in and we just see that there's a need, maybe be able to help that. But we've talked also with Dr. Flint a little bit about just ways we can help families out, especially that we see that need. And so that's a very small thing that we've started with, but we're looking at ways we can help out with, especially supplies, because like I said, $95, it's a lot for a family, and certainly we want to be able to help out where we can. So that was the first step of helping some people. We want to look at some other things to help some people as well. So
we have accumulated a number of backpacks and things like that that we also fill up if a student walks in and doesn't have any of that stuff. So if our teachers notice that stuff, we're able to put together packages or whatever that looks like as a need as well. And in a lot of cases, they get to pick which one they want and that kind of stuff. So we had a donation a couple of years ago that we're still working off of, backpacks and some of that stuff as well.
I just think anything that we can, and make sure that we present it to our families to say, hey, we're using some of the funds from this. I think it goes a long way to healing our community and reaching out to our community.
I think that's a great idea. We can put that on the agenda for the next meeting and have some more specifics for that.
Fantastic.
And address it then. So, all right. Do we have a motion for item 6?
Approval item 6.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
in the amount of $1,000.
Okay, I do actually have a specific wording for that. I'll share with that. Sorry.
Oh, then
it's got a blank. Yeah. Motion, motion to approve a district-wide stipend to all fiscal year 2021 staff in the amount of $1,000 to be prorated for part-time employees according to individuals' hours worked.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Marquez? Yes. Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstad?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 7. Discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following renewals, contracts, agreements for fiscal year 22. A, Edgenuity renewal. B, Infosys High School fire alarm monitoring agreement. C, IXL sales contract. D, Putnam and Company PLLC contract for audit of public schools for 2021 school year. E, memorandum of understanding with Community Action Agency for preschool services. F, Oklahoma Building Services janitorial agreement. G, Oklahoma School Assurance Group membership. H, agreement with the Beckman Company for workers' compensation insurance from the Oklahoma School Assurance Group. I, Oklahoma School Insurance Group renewal agreement. J, Oklahoma Teacher and Leader effectiveness agreement. K, self-storage rental agreement. L, amendment with Sodexo Management Incorporated. M, the Center for Education Law. PC, Basic Legal Services Program. N, Title III Consortium Cooperative Agreement with Kingfisher Public Schools. O, Revised Trends Software License and Support Agreement. P, Wilson Language Training Professional Learning Service Agreement.
Very good.
Lots of agreements.
The high school fire alarm monitoring, is that new or is that a renewal?
So it was feeding into the middle school box, and with the construction, we needed to separate it. And so with that, it will stay separate even after construction. So we needed an additional monitoring agreement for that.
Building services, year 3, is that right? Or this is our 3rd year with that?
This will start our 3rd year.
This is start our 3rd year. Okay. And that, I didn't go back and look at the contract price. Is that what's
Same price.
Same price as what it was?
Same price. They've been really, really good for us. It's not like, I can't tell you it's perfect, but nothing is, you know. I mean, we've had a little bump, and every time we have a bump, they fix it, and we get on down the road. We've had basically the same people here the whole time. We've had a little bit of turnover, but they're great. But it's been I got to remind you, we're saving $100,000 a year every year that we use them compared to what we were doing before.
And on the Sodexo amendment, is that just an amendment to the contract we already had in place?
Yes.
Basically, changes the years in the contract,
Right,
right?
they just
Yes.
rolled it over.
Yeah.
Jennifer, on the insurance, the school insurance, and then, let's see, there was another one, workers' comp. How did those compare to last year? Did the rates stay pretty consistent?
So the workers' comp is really close, the property is not, and there is a page in there that actually has the comparison from last year to this year. It did go up significantly, but Drew and I met with our agent, and we're one of the lower increases around for schools, just because we don't have very many claims, and so he said some of the schools are going up like triple what they were.
I think ours went up 40%, and he told me like in Norman and where they've had all those hailstorms, that it's gone up over 100%, double the amount they're paying here before.
Which policy is that?
That's our total comprehensive for the entire district. That's all of our vehicles, all of our buildings, all of our roofs, it's everything.
Content.
So 27%, yeah, page 52.
So ours is on the far low end of what, I think the 40 number, he said the average was 40, we're at 27, and he said 80 and 100% were not unusual this year.
And it'll probably go up for sure next year because we'll be adding building space.
Yeah, it will go up some, yes.
Just not counting the percentage.
Just the base.
Covering more.
On the Kingfisher cooperative, any changes to that, or will it look the same
It's
as?
the exact same. Dwayne, do you have anything you want to say about, I mean, it's just what we said, right? It's just changing the years. Were there any other amendments to that?
I mean, yes, it does change the years. I mean, there is an increase in the rate based on CPI, but that's in the RP, which comes out from the State Department, and so that's, you know, what we base that on. So, and then basically it's the rate of inflation. The good thing is for child nutrition this year, because they've extended the waivers, so all meals are free, except for this year, we're going to be operating under the seamless summer, but the State Department is going to, the reimbursement is going to be for summer feeding, and so it is a higher reimbursement because of added costs and things like that. So the reimbursement back to the district is at a much higher rate than it would normally be.
Thank you for that
Yep.
clarification. You guys have any other questions for that? Thank you.
Yep.
Move approval of item 7.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit? Walston?
Yes.
All right. Item number 8, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve Renaissance quote number 2576447 for accelerated reader, STAR Early Literacy, STAR Math, and STAR Reading, totaling $17,263.50.
Any questions on that?
No, I mean, I guess just, I assume, Ruben, that you're supportive of that program moving forward. Any discussion on the teaching, from the teaching crew about potential tweaks or changes for the coming year?
No, we like the information that it's giving us a lot more than what we were getting before. I mean, we're still in conversations about adding data points to decision-making things, which you should always do with any program, but just as a baseline for what we look at, we're happy with what it's providing us and the accuracy of what we're seeing between what we see all year versus what we're seeing, you know, at the end of the year. So far this year, we've just seen preliminary third grade scores, and those look really good. So
you feel like it's a good indicator?
Yeah, so far we're happy with it.
And then in math and reading, it will continue through middle school through 8th grade. So we'll be taking them to start the year and then have various benchmarks throughout the year in those 2 subjects. And just have assessed what we need to do differently on that as well. So.
Good, thank you. Good. Move approval item 8.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Walston?
Yes.
Item number 9, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the start time on Wednesdays changing from 8 to 8:30 for the middle school and the high school to align their PLC time.
Just what we did last year.
Yeah.
Is the Wilson language training, was that?
Wilson language is probably Ruben's.
Yeah, that's related to that curriculum that you saw before. We're moving to Foundation, called Foundations.
Foundation, yeah.
And it's through that Wilson program, but that's the training for our teachers for that curriculum.
Okay. Can you, and I know we already approved that, but can you clarify, talk to that just a little bit? I mean, I saw that, I didn't have a good
Yeah,
understanding.
so we have used, we've not really used a curriculum per se, an all-in-one kind of curriculum. We've used Saxon Phonics, and then we've used a lot of thrown together pieces of things to put together the rest, phonemic awareness and things like that. So what we wanted to do was have one curriculum that has a common language between it all, also common language between pre-K all the way to second grade, and then third grade through fifth is, so we had a curriculum committee, ELA curriculum committee meeting the last 2 or 3 months of school, almost bi-weekly, talking about all the different options. And then when we narrowed that down to a couple different curriculum choices that were, again, and then our goals were research-based, had to be something that research showed was based on the research, science of reading, things like that. And so we kind of narrowed down to a couple different options. And then Foundations is also used by some other districts around us. So we had representatives come in and kind of teach us what does that look like from a teacher's perspective. And the teachers in the end, which was amazing collaboration by itself, because to get pre-K teachers through second grade teachers to agree that this is what we want to use universally, very difficult to do. But that was some of the reasons we wanted to also, was because we had so many, phonics was core, but we have so many other little pieces that the teachers were just doing so differently, that we felt like it was going to strengthen our reading program if there was kind of a common language, common curriculum for all the other 4 parts of literacy. And so through that 2-month process, I mean, and they did a great job. Mrs. Donnelly led that committee, but it included almost every teacher from those grade levels to come up with that particular program. And then this is, we don't want to, because it is a shift and a lot more to it, we want to make sure they're trained going into it, because we focused on Saxon Phonics, which Saxon Phonics has been great for us, and we still want to have a phonics focus, but it just didn't have a lot of, it was not all encompassing, and so we hope this puts it all together for our students.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have some experience with Foundations, PC, and the teachers love it, the administrators love it. It's been very successful, so I feel very comfortable with what we're doing.
All right.
Yeah.
Item number 9, yes.
So the start time for the middle school and the high school.
Just for Wednesdays.
On Wednesday. Didn't we at one time have late start Wednesdays, or do we still have that?
That's what this is. Yeah, that's what our goal was. Middle school, though, always started at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And then we sent them to the gym from 8 to 8:30, and it was, we monitored that. But there wasn't an attendance piece within that. So the question became, is there a need for that 30 minutes to be in there, or can we, and when we looked at hours to minutes, we didn't need that time. And so just starting at 8:30, we'll still have a place where kids that drop off their siblings can still go. We'll monitor that, probably to start out in the Commons, where we have people that will watch that group until we figure out if that's a bigger group and needs to go to the gym again. But then we'll transition at 8:30.
We did this last year.
We were going to, except for we had a B schedule, and so we never got to. So it was board approved last year, but we haven't done it yet.
I knew we discussed it.
Yeah.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marcus?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstone?
Yes.
All right. Item number 10, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve an advisory period in the middle school on 1 to 2 days per week for 27 minutes.
So we've been receiving training on TBRI, which is trauma for students, and then we've all have conversations, even in board meetings, about advocating for kids and social and emotional help and that kind of stuff. And so at the middle school, we don't have a brick and mortar like the high school has, or a homeroom like Mr. Bellows has. So we have had conversations about how do we develop deep enough relationships so that we can impact students if they need an advocate that's not a parent, or if they need peer support that aren't in those groups. And so this is our effort to try and complete our relationship building in the middle school from a perspective of giving them a homeroom teacher where the activities and things are based on getting to know you and games and things like that, putting together resources for teachers. The academic component would be based more on doing grade checks and things like that, and not about doing homework. It's not a homework hour, it's a relationship building hour. So this is a time for teachers to be involved in the conversation, lead conversation, whether that's a quote of the week or a get to know you game or something of that nature. and just try and build deeper relationships so that we can be there for our students.
Do you have, it says 1 to 2 days per week. Do you have a kind of a theory on where you'll start with that? Will it be 1 day, 2 days, what days?
It's only 27 minutes.
Right.
And our groups are going to be around 25 per. So it's not really small groups just because of the nature of how many teachers we have for that time period. And so if they did grade checks on that day, it would be about a minute per kid. So that would be why maybe 2 days as opposed to 1, but the need needs to be there as well. So I have reached out to some teachers, and we're continuing that talk to make sure that we make a decision that we don't need. I don't want to provide extra time and then move back. Right. I want to provide what we need and it be right or need more is what I think would be more beneficial. And so that's why we're continuing to have conversations about 1 or 2 days. I would see that if we do 2 days, it would probably be Monday and Friday.
I love the idea, especially after coming out of the year we've had. Is there any thought around kind of measures of success for, are there any kind of outcomes that you all are looking for or will be watching for?
I think that's a great question. I would hope that, when we've talked SMART goals in the past, and we've talked about grades and things like that, that if our teachers can build strong enough relationships within that group, and you are, instead of asking why they have a grade, you're asking how can we help you with that grade,
right?
Or behavioral, to where if that teacher has a good relationship and they're having a rough day, then maybe that teacher is who I go and ask, hey, will you go check in on so and so because they're really struggling today? Maybe you can encourage them where I might not can reach that student at that time. And so I think that those maybe are behavioral and that kind of stuff. I think that the other sense that we want to get is that kids in middle school still need to have fun. Because I think we saw it this year in attendance and things like that if there's not a reason for them to come to school other than academics, that could struggle. And so I think those are all things. How we measure those things is something that we can continue to look into. But I think that those are things that our teachers have talked to me about and that we've discussed, is just making sure that we're a fun place to be, that we have an advocate for every kid, whether they want it or not, or whether they partake in that discussion or not. That's their option, but we're going to give you the outlet if you need to. And then also a peer support system that hopefully family, probably Bronco time is what we're looking at. So your Bronco time family, if someone notices you're sitting by yourself at lunch or something of that nature, that should be a person that we seek out.
Yeah, I love the idea. I would encourage some outcome, and just going into it, I think it would be really beneficial to see, and I assume that's the conversation you guys will continue to have on the number of days and when to hold it and what to do. But I would love to kind of just see what kind of outcomes maybe we could apply to it so that we can look back on it and say, this coming out of the year we've had, it's a great idea, but ongoing, just as we know, kids at different times have different issues and different concerns and need different help. It would be good to kind of have that as ongoing, kind of continue it or.
I think the point's well taken, and what we will do is have Trey take that outcome idea back to his team and let them come up with ideas, and then you and I will talk through those, and then we'll bring those back to you on June 30th to let you know these are the things that we're going to do. Just because I want you to know, that's measuring success. Anything that we do is the right thing to do. So it's a great point. We didn't put that in there, and we will.
I love the idea. Move approval item 10.
Roll call vote.
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstone?
Yes.
Item number 11, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following out-of-town, out-of-state overnight trips as submitted. A, John Arthur to attend the NIAAA National Athletic Directors Conference in Denver, Colorado, December 9th through 15th, 2021, with expenses to be paid from the Athletic Director Activity Fund. B, volleyball program to attend an overnight volleyball tournament in Verdigris, Oklahoma on August 13th through 14th, 2021, with expenses to be paid from the volleyball activity fund. C, high school choir to attend an overnight show choir camp at Salyer Lake in Minko, Oklahoma on July 22nd through 24th, 2021, with expenses to be paid from the choir activity fund.
Just as a point of clarification, in these cases where we have students traveling out of town, there's certain protocol we are following with those overnight trips, right?
With respect to like boys and girls,
Ratios of sponsors and students.
I feel confident, but before I answer that as affirmative, I feel confident.
Thank you. Move approval of item 11.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstein?
Yes.
And I will say it is good to see, again, these things happening that didn't get to happen last year. So that's great. All right, item number 12, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following summer athletic events and activities with the use of school transportation. A, softball to hold a softball camp June 22nd through 24th at a cost of $50 per player, ages K through 6th grade. Okay, so why are we using transportation on this? Are they coming to?
Okay, six, I would assume they're coming, are they bringing them here? Somebody's got a plan for that. I don't know what the
That
plan
involves
is.
buses. Okay.
Just the fundraiser. Yeah, I was going to go back and read
All right, well, we do know that Bill will need transportation, so. All right.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit? Wallstein?
Yes.
Item 13, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve opening a support position for a computer repair technician for fiscal year '21.
So this would be 20 hours a week. We're thinking $10 an hour, and it is basically just to put together our Chromebooks and things that we can still get good use out of, but keys come off, or, you know, there's something, there's gunk in the port. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and
We've got more than we can say grace over now. We've doubled in size easily.
yeah, over the last year and a half, we've added probably, I think the elementary will be close to 500 Chromebooks, and all in the last year and a half probably, and that brings us probably close to 2,000 district-wide. So there's just a lot of breakages with those, and this person would kind of work with me to kind of get those back to the either Ashley in the elementary or Mary in the high school in a timely fashion. So just kind of help with that, and also kind of inventory our technology in the district and kind of help with that, and just kind of those similar duties as we see kind of as things progress. So
Inventory right now kind of falls on Mary, right?
Both librarians.
Both librarians.
Yes, and then
Will that be something that will relieve them of those
Yes.
responsibilities?
yes, and then also help us keep track of instructional technology as well. Just that's something that we need to keep track of a little better than we have in the past. So just kind of make sure our teachers are using, have a good laptop to use or a good desktop to use, and kind of make sure they're all what they need, they have what they need basically. So.
Who do you foresee, who would be someone that would be, is there?
We've kind of looked at a few different people. We've looked for SNU students that are some of them are working in that instructional technology program over there that kind of work with their tech department and fix things over there. We've also checked with some of their computer engineering teachers over there, so they've helped us identify a few people. So. But yeah.
Great partnership over there.
Yes.
So that would work out nice.
Oh yeah, they've helped us a few times with guest speakers and STEM and all that. So yeah. So it'd be
This-
good.
I assume the answer to this question is yes, but I'll ask it. So I know that the need for technology over this last year has been like inflated just because we've had to check those out. So is there, do you anticipate that needs for this kind of position that needs to continue to grow, or do you,
I think so, especially as some of these devices get a little older, especially just trying to figure out which ones we can salvage, which ones we need to kind of get rid of, and just kind of make sure we have the best devices out there that we can put in the hands of kids. So, yeah.
It requires a lot of just time to look at a device and decide if, this is something that we're going to rehab and get back out into force, or we're going to put it into, parts. So I think this will probably, I don't want to promise you that it will save us money, but it could save us money.
Yeah, there's kind of a stewarding opportunity with this position to be able to steward the equipment in a, they'll have the time to do it.
And in the past, we've had high school students, but most of the time it takes, roughly 30 minutes to take apart a Chromebook, and then you have to figure out what's wrong with it and then put it back together. So by that time, the bells rang and they have to go to the next hour, and then the next person comes in and they don't know where they left off really. So we've kind of run into some problems with that. So
I know we're kind of new into this, game. They've been doing it for years, but what we were running into is, you have a class set that you're able to everyone to use one, which is great. So teacher plans an activity for that, but then 2 or 3 go down, and if it's going to take 3 weeks to replace that, well, now it puts you in a bind of like, okay, well, now I can't plan because I'm going to have 2 or 3 kids without, and we can't get it back in time. So I think this really fills that need of quicker turnaround, where we're not having to wait and wonder what to do in the meantime. And we do have extra devices that we can shift in there, but when that starts, when you're 500 and now, that's going to be more than just a few out at a time, I think that turnaround is going to be huge for us because we don't have to worry as much about kids being without, and that I think is the biggest help for this type of thing.
And Adam would be working on one, then a classroom would lose connectivity. Well, that takes precedent, and so then he's dealing with pop-ups a lot. And so if we can have somebody just dedicated to that, it makes a big difference.
Move approval items.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit? Wallstad?
Yes.
All right, item number 14, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve opening the following certified positions for fiscal year '22. A, secondary counselor, and B, music assistant. Drew, I believe you sent us information about each of these over the last few weeks. So, thank
Do you
you.
have any questions?
So in the last board meeting, we voted to hire a new counselor, an additional counselor, but that was a split position, more on the basis of need, just number of students, correct?
That's exactly right. So, and that was all coming out of our money, out of general fund money. So the lady that we hired actually spent a year being a TA for us in the chemistry lab this past year, and she's a Bronco. She got her master's in counseling over here at SNU, and she agreed to do both secondary and elementary, but her heart is in elementary. Well, as it turns out, now Superintendent Hoffmeister has put up this $35 million out there for us, so we wrote the grant to pay for half of 2. So basically, we're not going to be spending any more money than we spent before. We're spending the same money, but we're going to have twice as much help. So that's that one. And I think, I hope we get it. There's no way to know whether we'll make the list, but I'm an awesome writer, so.
No pressure.
No pressure. And then the music, I talked to you guys about the fact that she's a workhorse. She's waited patiently for the entire time I've been here. She's asked for somebody.
And that's a replacement.
Well, it's a replacement from 4 years ago.
Right.
I was
We never
in Ken's
filled
office the day that the lady came in. It's Bands, yeah, Kim Bands.
Kim Bands.
She came in and turned in her resignation because she was going to her full-time job, but she had that one. And she was a certified person that was doing, these halftime or whatever it turned out to be. This person's 6 hours a day, is that right? So, and they're a retired person from Western Heights that Steve Ann knows now. I say that like they've already been hired. We're opening this up and then we're taking applications. And then but we have a great one that's going to apply and that Steve Ann knows about. So I really am excited for her because she works so hard. And if we lost Steve Ann, it might be easier to lose the superintendent than it would be to lose Steve Ann, just to be honest with you. She works hard.
Move approval of item 14.
Roll call vote?
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit? Wallstad?
Yes.
Let's have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Marquez? Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit? Wallstad?
Yes.
you have a motion to come out?
No.
Okay. All right. During the executive session, only the members of the board and the superintendent were present. The only items discussed were those listed on the agenda, and no votes were taken. Do I have a motion?
No, motion to approve item 15A through T.
You gotta give that name on that one, right?
Oh, yeah, do we need to?
On the baseball.
On the baseball coach.
Yeah.
Amend item D
Robert.
to include Robert Lee.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marquez?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstad?
Yes.
Information items.
So the next meeting is not in July, it's June 30th, that's a Wednesday. It's the last day of the month, it's our financial meeting where we tie everything in a nice little bow and send it on its way. And then the OSSBA conference is, that says Cox Center, but I think it's at the new.
It is.
It is, yes.
Cox Center's closed.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
film production.
Yeah, so whatever that new place is called, that's where it is, and I'm excited to go see it.
Oklahoma City Conventions.
Okay. And that's 26th to 29th, you guys are already signed up.
Great. All right. Does anyone have any comments? Board members?
Just a thank you to the teachers, staff, administrators for the year that you went through. Finished strong, finished with, activities that it was nice to see some of that stuff happening at the end of the year. So just a big thank you.
And to add to that, our patrons as
Yes.
well, putting, it's a rough year for everybody. It was for all of us.
We are
Glad to
looking-
be behind us.
Yes, amen. We are looking forward to a much better year this next year. All right.
Ready?
Yes.
Construction continues on the 2020 bond project. Demolition of the middle school sidewalk is almost complete. Crews finished drilling the piers for the storm sheltered classrooms last week. Rain has been a bit of a factor, but the dry weather forecasted should bring us back on track. Troy Rhodes and Stan Lingo will be here on our June 30th board meeting for a presentation of progress so far and what's ahead, and then answer any of your questions. Tomorrow morning, we've invited 10 parents to review our safe return and continuity of services plan. Writing this plan and gaining community feedback is a requirement of the American Recovery Plan for the federal money. So that 1.9 that we're getting, part of that is to have this plan and to submit it to it's got to be on the website, it's got to be given to the State Department by the 22nd of June. It was a quick turnaround. And so we're going to meet with these parents tomorrow morning, and we tried, I consciously tried to choose people that were not particularly happy with what we did last year and satisfied with what we did last year, because I wanted to hear all of it. Basically what our plan's going to say and what you guys will get after we do the revision to anything that they suggest that we agree with is that we're going to come in mask-free and we're going to conduct school the way it's been all the years prior. So it's a little, it's 5 pages to say that. So, and then I'll be sending a draft of the copy to board members sometime later this week. And finally, the performance course began today with approximately 80 students. And Adam said it was a great start, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's our biggest number we've had in a long time, yeah, so, for that first session, so.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. A motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marquez? Yes. Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wallstad?
Yes.